shark, taller than a single-story building, washed up on a beach in Orange County.
I have an emergency right now.
Now you gotta stop what you're doing and check out this video. Huge whale shark washed ashore near a pier in Pakistan.
For us land dwellers, it's easy to overlook the incredible diversity of life beneath the waves. Some creatures appear almost alien, while others simply defy explanation. From a mysterious giant shark caught by fishermen to eels with electric eyes, here are the 20 most unique fish in the ocean. Number 20. The Humphead wrasse. This fish kind of looks like some kind of abstract sculpture, but in reality, it's an absolutely enormous creation. These massive, multicolored reef fish have been known to grow up to 7 feet in length, and the crazy thing about this fish is that sometimes the female can actually transform into a male. During this process, she will also change her coloration from a rusty red-orange to a vivid blue-green. The bumpy thing on the forehead of older males is more noticeable than that of younger fish as well. They feed on marine invertebrates, including some toxic prey, and they reside in and around surrounding reefs. The Humphead wrasse is a game fish that's of only small commercial importance. Although the flesh of this fish has long been prized for human consumption, it can be seen alive in Hong Kong fish markets, commanding prices of up to $100 per kilogram. However, you might want to be careful when eating it because it's actually a very toxic fish. The Humphead wrasse is a fish that's regularly seen in public aquariums and is considered important for ecotourism in diver-friendly environments. Because of the significant tourist benefits of conserving the species, conservation has been promoted. Number 19. The spotted handfish. You know how when you look at an evolutionary scale of man, there's that fish climbing out of the water? It seems to me that this one is probably that connection because of all those cute little fish hands. Spotted handfish are tiny, reaching a maximum size of 12 centimeters in length, which means they may fit comfortably into the palm of your hand. Each fish is covered with spots or stripes, arranged in patterns unique to that particular species. They have enlarged pectoral fins that resemble hands, which they use to gently move over the sandy substrate while searching for tiny crustaceans and worms. The spotted handfish is one of the most well-known inhabitants of the Derwent Estuary, an animal preservation area in Australia. These are unique fish, not just because of their unusual and eye-catching appearance, but also because the overwhelming majority of them exist exclusively in the estuary, making them critically threatened. It's estimated that there are fewer than 10 colonies. Spawning happens from September to October, during which time newly placed egg masses are connected to substrates on the sea bottom, such as sponges, seaweeds, and, in particular, sea tulips. Number 18. The Bumphead Parrotfish. This is definitely a creepy fish. The Humphead Parrotfish, or green Humphead Parrotfish, is the strangest of all parrotfish. Not only is it the strangest, but it can grow up to 1.3 meters in length and weigh up to 46 kilograms, making it the biggest and heaviest of all parrotfish species. They have an insatiable appetite for coral, which they crunch down with those human-like teeth, breaking apart reefs to get to the algae within. This feeding habit creates sandy debris, meaning these fish actually contribute to sand formation on tropical beaches, a surprising impact for such a strange creature. During feeding, you can often hear the grinding of coral echoing underwater, which adds an eerie atmosphere to their presence. Another quirk is that they're social creatures, often moving in large groups that amplify the sound of their feeding, creating an almost surreal underwater symphony. They have a sluggish growth rate and may survive for up to 40 years in their current state. Bumpheads don't actually achieve sexual maturity until later in life, resulting in poor replenishment rates. Despite this, they're not actually considered endangered. Bumpheads develop their alien-like, bulbous foreheads as they get older, which gives them their nickname of Bumphead. To add to their long list of distinguishing characteristics, they have enormous beak-like front teeth that are nearly completely exposed, as their lips only partially cover them. These teeth, I would say, are the strangest part of the fish because they just look so human-like. Number 17. The Opa. Speaking of fish that help humans make the jump from microbe to Homo sapiens, the Opa is a warm-blooded fish discovered in 2015 by a NOAA research team. This fish is able to use its warmth to its advantage. The fish's body temperature isn't the only feature that distinguishes it from the rest of its deep-sea friends, though. The agile Opa is quick and efficient, fluttering its bright red pectoral fins to race through the water. The Opa's body is heated by the continuous flapping of its fins, which speeds up its metabolism, mobility, and response times. It has specialized blood vessels that transport warm blood to its gills to rewarm blood that cools when the fish breathes and takes oxygen from the water. It's only about the size of a big automobile tire. These heat-exchanging blood vessels provide a warm core body temperature, increase muscular output, and enhance swimming capability. They also improve eye and brain function by reducing heat loss to the Opa's chilly environment. The fatty tissue around its gills, heart, and muscle tissue serves as insulation against cold waters, allowing the opa to remain in deep water longer without risking decreased function of its heart and other organs. Number 16. The Northern Stargazer. The Northern Stargazer is a benthic species that spends most of its time on or near the seafloor and has adapted very well to living in the sand. The body is a bit elongated, which helps it to use its pectoral fins as shovels and allows it to bury itself in seconds. When the fish is buried, its eyes and nostrils are carefully placed on the top of its head, allowing them to remain above the sand. The coolest part about the fish, though, is its unique ability to generate small electrical currents from a specialized organ behind its eyes. Hence the name Stargazer. It has evolved to spend most of its existence buried in the sand, waiting to ambush and devour its victim whole. Its eyes, gill slits, nose, and the majority of its mouth are located on the top of its body, and its pectoral fins are capable of digging and burying the stargazer. Unlike other fish, it breathes via its nostrils rather than its mouth. The fish has fleshy fringes around its mouth to keep sand out while it's buried. The stargazer has eyes that may protrude for a short distance, giving the appearance of being pursued for a brief period, which enables the fish to look over the bottom. The stargazer does this by injecting liquid into the tissues behind its eyelids. Now it's time for today's topic. In the quiet waters off Japan's Shizuoka coast, a group of seasoned fishermen set out for an ordinary catch, unaware that they were on the brink of a discovery that would haunt them for years. As dawn broke, the fishermen, known for hunting sharks, felt an enormous tug on their nets. Initially, they believed they had snared a colossal great white, a prize that would bring both fame and fortune. Yet, as they drew their catch closer, something felt different, terrifyingly different. The creature was massive, unlike anything they'd encountered. Its skin was rugged, scarred, and oddly textured, as if it had endured centuries beneath the waves. Its eyes, pale and unblinking, stared with an intelligence that sent chills down their spines. The teeth were unlike those of any known shark species, larger, sharper, and curved backward as though designed to trap its prey inescapably. When they finally hauled it to the surface, whispers spread among the crew. This was not a creature from any textbook. Locals later claimed it resembled descriptions of a legendary Yumibozu, a giant sea creature feared by ancient Japanese sailors. To this day, scientists have been unable to classify the creature, leaving the fishermen with a terrifying mystery lurking in their memories. Number 15. Anglerfish. Because life in deep water is challenging, many fish have evolved unique adaptations to help them eat and breed. Cue the Jaws music here because this fish has adapted some serious jaws to help itself out. These deepwater anglerfish have evolved to have large mouths because there just aren't a whole lot of prey around them at their depths, so their big mouths help them get what they can. Like other anglerfish, they have a lure that they use to attract prey. The lure of the deep-sea anglerfish contains microorganisms that produce their own light, and a deepwater anglerfish can conceal or expose its illuminated lure by using a muscular skin flap. They effectively use this to attract their prey by pulsing the light and moving the lure back and forth. Sometimes, even a mate is also attracted to the lure. Females are the only ones that match the aforementioned description. They are the ambush predators and also have illuminated lures. Males are very tiny, seriously only about 1 inch big, and do not hunt. They spend all of their time after hatching looking for partners, biting onto bigger females and fertilizing their eggs. In many anglerfish species, the male develops a parasitic nature and never leaves his mate, sucking on her blood and essentially becoming a baby factory. Number 14. The Fong-toothed fish. Fong-toothed fish are black in color and have a hideous look, like many other deep-sea animals. The fong-toothed fish, just like the anglerfish, has a large jaw with massive teeth. In fact, the fong-tooth possesses the biggest teeth of any known fish in relation to its body size. Their lower jaw's fangs are so enormous that specific receptacles on each side of their brain had to develop to accommodate them. The fong-toothed fish is a type of fish found all over the globe, categorized as a bathypelagic fish since it dwells in the ocean's bathyal zone. The bathyal zone is a deep marine area extending from 3,300 to 9,800 feet below the surface. Although it may seem like a long way down, the bathyal zone isn't even close to the ocean's bottom. It actually resides above 2 other zones, which are 2 of the ocean's deepest levels. It is, however, so deep that no light actually penetrates the area. Unfortunately, scientists don't know much about them since they're nocturnal, deep-sea creatures that are difficult to research. Adult fong-toothed fish eat tiny fish, although they've also been observed eating bigger squid. Scientists aren't really sure, but for now, they think that fangtooths migrate in a pattern known as diurnal vertical migration, meaning that they eat at night on the surface before returning to the depths before sunrise. Number 13. The Yellowhead Jawfish. With a brilliant yellow head and a white or blue body, the Yellowhead Jawfish is truly a stunning fish. Loving to dig in the seabed, they prefer a 3 to 5 inch sand bed with broken coral and different grades of sand. When frightened, They have this amazing ability to dash back into their burrow tail first. Now, you won't see them swimming about too often. They like to hang out vertically above or within the burrow, just their yellow heads protruding. It's very cool to see a colony of them in a tank, observing you from above their holes. These little guys actually make great pets and should get along great with other calm marine fish, though different jawfish species may not be able to coexist happily in the same tank. When initially introduced, they've been known to leap out of the tank, so you'll need a nice, tight-fitting hood with no escape routes. Although they seem to be disease-resistant, you should still take precautions and utilize a quarantine tank before introducing them into your main tank. The Yellowhead Jawfish is a carnivore, requiring meaty items in its diet. To encourage them to eat, you may need to place food near the burrow entrance at first, and they may grow less timid and emerge out of the burrow to feed once they've gotten accustomed. They may pinch and devour tiny crustaceans, so you should be cautious. Number 12. The Cuttlefish. These sea chameleons are among the biggest cuttlefish species, growing up to 60 centimeters in length and weighing up to 5 kilograms. This magnificent creature's journey to the waters of Australia is only for the purpose of spawning. They flock in their tens of millions every year between May and August to mate and breed, producing a spectacular sight of clever games, predation, underwater light shows, and colorful kaleidoscopic displays. Cuttlefish are clever animals that can alter their color, shape, and texture to resemble rocks, sand, or seaweed as they travel around the bottom. Because males outnumber females, there's an intense and frantic rivalry among them for mating rights, resulting in bizarre and spectacular behavior. The cuttlefish connects its 8 arms and 2 tentacles for head-to-head contact during mating, with the males sliding their sperm packets into the female's mouth to fertilize her eggs. The female lays tear-shaped eggs on the undersides of rocky ledges and in rock crevices, where they hatch after 3 to 5 months. It's thought that they gather here in such huge numbers because it's the only place in the region with appropriate rocky ledges for laying eggs. Because commercial fishing has almost wiped out this once-in-a-lifetime occurrence, the cuttlefish are protected during their mating season, which runs from May to August. Number 11. The man-o'-war. Although the Portuguese man-o'-war is often mistaken for a jellyfish, it's actually a siphonophore, a kind of animal closely related to the jellyfish. A siphonophore is unique in that it's made up of a colony of specialized, genetically identical individuals known as zooids, or clones, who all have different shapes and functions but operate together as one. Each of the man-o'-war's 4 specialized sections is responsible for a particular job, like flotation, capturing prey, eating, and reproduction. Man-o'-wars, mainly found in tropical and subtropical waters, are driven only by winds and ocean currents and may float in armies of up to 1,000 or more. The man-o'-war is distinguished by its balloon-like float, which may be blue, violet, or pink, and rises up to 6 inches above the waterline like an 18th-century Portuguese vessel under full sail. Long strands of tentacles and polyps lurk under the float, each measuring 30 feet in length and extending up to 100 feet. Their stingers are tiny capsules with coiled, barbed tubes that release venom capable of paralyzing and killing tiny fish and crustaceans. While the sting of the man-o'-war is seldom fatal, it is unpleasant and produces welts on the skin. Number 10. The Redlipped Batfish. If the French should be kissing any fishes, it should totally be the Redlipped Batfish. Just look at those juicy fish lips. The Redlipped Batfish is a bottom dweller that may be found on the sandy bottoms of reefs or on the ocean floor. Closely related to other batfish, it is entirely unique to the Galapagos. The Redlipped Batfish has a light brown body color with a grayish back and a white stomach. Starting at the head and running all the way down to the tail, there's typically a dark brown stripe made up of brown dots on the upper side. The red-lipped batfish's snout and horn have a brownish color. The batfish has brilliant, almost fluorescent red lips that appear as if it just had a bloody meal or is wearing some kind of extremely bright lipstick, as the name implies. Another peculiar feature of the red-lipped batfish is its ability to walk. The batfish's fins are better suited to function as a weird kind of leg, rather than for swimming around the bottom in search of food, and these legs are used to walk and perch as the creature examines its environment. It also features an elysium structure on its head, believed to be used for enticing prey. The species is a piscivore and insectivore that eats tiny fish and crustaceans such as shrimp and mollusks. Number 9. The Stonefish. Now, allow me to introduce you to, ladies and gentlemen, the most poisonous fish in the sea, the stonefish. The venom generated by stonefish is among the world's most poisonous and deadly to humans. A significant quantity of antivenom must be administered quickly to reverse symptoms, which begin with severe pain and swelling. These symptoms may quickly progress, resulting in paralysis, tissue necrosis, and possibly heart failure. Stonefish are often trodden on due to their invisibility, which triggers their venom sacs. Stonefish have 13 spines that run down their backs, each having venom glands at the base. They do not utilize their venom for hunting. It's only used as a defensive mechanism and is released when pressure is applied to their spines. The stonefish's food consists mostly of shrimp and other fish, as they are carnivores. They can use the element of surprise to attack their victim because of their outstanding camouflage abilities. They wait patiently for prey to swim past before attacking and swallowing it in as little as 0.015 seconds. They're usually slow swimmers, despite their amazing speed. Stonefish may also survive for up to 24 hours by collecting oxygen via their skin, as long as their surroundings stay wet. This is common with receding tides which partially expose them, but still they will die from asphyxia and dehydration after that. Number 8. The yellow boxfish. Yellow boxfish belong to the boxfish family. Imagine that. They can be found in reefs across the Pacific and Indian Oceans, as well as in the Atlantic Ocean's southern reaches, and may grow up to 45 centimeters in length. Oh, and guess what? It's box-shaped, just as the name implies. It's a brilliant yellow hue while young, though the brilliance does diminish with age. An extremely old boxfish will be blue-gray in hue with fading yellow, just like the rest of us. Its diet consists mostly of algae, although it will also eat sponges, crabs, and mollusks. When it's agitated or wounded, it can produce a toxic protein from its skin, which may kill any fish nearby. The brilliant yellow coloring and black dots serve as a warning to any prospective predators. They're solitary creatures, with breeding taking place in small groups of 1 male and 2 to 4 females in the spring. What a lucky guy. Oh, and here's a little fun fact for you. Mercedes-Benz debuted the Bionic concept vehicle in 2006, and it was inspired by the form of a yellow boxfish. Due to the remarkable quickness with which these fish move, it's believed that their form was aerodynamic and self-stabilizing. Scientists think that the boxfish's agility is due to a combination of its aerodynamically unstable body and the way it utilizes its fins to move. Number 7. The Gulper Eel. One of the strangest deep-sea creatures on the list is the mysterious Gulper Eel, often known as the pelican eel. The gulper has a long, thin body that undulates back and forth to travel through the water, much like a regular eel. They belong to an order which includes 800 species of true eels, including moray and garden eels. They are black in color and grow to be around 2 to 3 feet long, which isn't much in comparison to other eel species. In fact, the biggest eel, the European conger, can grow to be over 20 feet long. Gulper eels are named for their enormous gulping jaws, which look like an eel mated with a huge black balloon. So, what gives the gulper its peculiar adaptation? Gulper eels, like pelicans, the source of its other name, may scoop water into their mouth and swallow their prey whole. They mainly eat crabs, fish, and cephalopods, although some experts think their big mouths actually enable them to go for bigger fish if food is scarce. Because these eels are so uncommon, we don't actually know much about them. They are, nevertheless, distributed all over the globe and are classified as at least concerned species by the IUCN, which means they're not believed to be in danger of extinction. Number 6. Leafy Sea Dragon. Sea dragons are some of the world's most elaborately camouflaged animals. They're ideally equipped to blend in with the seaweed, with gossamer, leaf-shaped growths covering their whole bodies. Leafy sea dragons are closely related to seahorses and pipefish and are found only in the seas off the coasts of South and East Australia. The body color of leafies ranges from brown to yellow with magnificent olive-tinted appendages. The leaf-like features, however, are not utilized for swimming. This species moves about by using 2 thin fins, 1 pectoral and 1 dorsal, that are nearly translucent. Sea dragon males, like seahorses, are in charge of procreation. The male sea dragon has a spongy brood patch on the underside of its tail, similar to seahorses, where females deposit their bright pink eggs during mating. During the transfer from the female to the male, the eggs are fertilized. The males incubate the eggs and eventually bring them to term, releasing tiny sea dragons into the ocean after 4 to 6 weeks. Sea dragons have a diet that consists of mysids, or sea lice, which are small crustaceans. Other creatures may prey on them, although it's actually unknown. Divers who want to keep them as pets often take them in. In fact, by the early 1990s, such takings had dwindled their numbers to the point that the Australian government declared the species protected. Their populations have been harmed by pollution and habitat degradation, and they're now classified as near threatened. Number 5. The sarcastic fringehead. The sarcastic fringehead is a tiny but interesting fish that dwells in the northeast Pacific Ocean, off the coast of California and Baja Combating males in this species are renowned for their amazing display actions while defending neighborhood territory. Tube blennies, like the sarcastic fringehead, live in burrows or tube-like structures dug out by other creatures. Shelters are constructed by burrowing clams or empty snail shells, in the case of this species. Some people have even seen them living in soda bottles and other artificial materials. Female sarcastic fringeheads deposit their eggs in a male's shelter, much like other tube blennies, and the males defend them from predators and other dangers until they hatch. Female sexual selection fuels a system of ferocious male rivalry and territoriality, and male sarcastic fringeheads compete by opening their enormous lips in the direction of their opponents. The frightening coloring of the mouth, coupled with its enormous size, up to 4 times its closed size, allows the bigger male to assert control over the smaller one. The competitor's lips are often pushed extremely close to one another, occasionally touching without really fighting. The smaller fish usually surrenders and then departs the area. So, to be clear, this is a fish that's actually kissing its rival, and it's sarcastic. That sums it up. I think I've found my personal favorite fish. Number 4. The ocean sunfish. Has anyone here ever seen the elephant man? Well, this fish kind of looks like it has the same disease as John Merrick. If you don't know this, you should totally look it up because it's amazing. The ocean sunfish, also known as mollusks, are the heaviest of all bony fish, reaching 14 feet vertically and 10 feet horizontally, and weighing over 5,000 pounds in the bigger individuals. In fact, their size alone often confuses predators, as they don't resemble any other fish around. Due to their sheer bulk, mollusks can't avoid being slow movers, which is why they rely on a peaceful lifestyle rather than speed to evade threats. To maintain their massive size, they must consume vast amounts of jellyfish, despite these creatures offering minimal calories, a true challenge for survival in the wild. Interestingly, mollusks spend much of their time sunbathing near the ocean surface, a behavior that may help them regulate their temperature after long dives into colder waters. These gentle giants often have their bodies covered with parasites, and smaller fish frequently clean them, forming a unique relationship in the ocean ecosystem. Sharks and rays are cartilaginous fish, so they lack the bony structure of the mola. Mollusks swim awkwardly, guiding themselves with their clavis and waggling their enormous dorsal and tail fins to move. Jellyfish are their preferred diet, although they may also consume tiny fish, zooplankton, and algae in large quantities. They're not dangerous to humans, although they are quite inquisitive and often approach diverse. Number 3. Blobfish. Now, yikes, because this one wins for the est fish on the list, the blobfish. Now, if being called a blobfish wasn't awful enough, the rest of its family isn't really any better. The blobfish belongs to a family of fish often referred to as fathead sculpins, owing to their large heads and floppy look. Around southeastern Australia and Tasmania, blobfish dwell in waters just off the ocean bottom. The water pressure at depths of 2,000 feet or more is crushing, more than 60 times that of the surface. You'd probably be squashed into a blob if you even tried to go down that far. They usually float along the sea's bottom, devouring whatever floats directly in front of them and is small enough to fit into their jaws. The blobfish's body is mostly made of gelatin, having few hard bones. This is advantageous at the crushing depths where it dwells, as it can avoid being crushed by water pressure due to its gelatinous, blobby composition. Its body composition provides it with exactly the perfect amount of buoyancy to allow it to float around the seafloor without exerting any real effort. Imagine throwing a water balloon into a pool full of people. It would simply float around on the pool floor, and the same thing occurs with the blobfish but without the pool and the crowds. Number 2. The Goblin Shark. And now we're back to absolutely terrifying fishes that you wouldn't want to poke with a 10-foot pole, let alone kiss on the mouth. Perhaps the most terrifying and most noticeable physical characteristic of the goblin shark is its rostrum, aka its head, which is covered with unique organs that assist these sharks in finding food in low-light environments by detecting the electric fields produced by other fish. It's one of the few shark species whose teeth are visible while the mouth is completely closed. Goblin sharks, in other words, can't really fit all their teeth into their jaws. Because live goblin sharks are seldom seen and virtually never recorded, much of what scientists know about them comes from their inadvertent capture in fisheries aimed at other species. They're said to be active predators that eat a variety of fish, squid, and pelagic crustaceans. They resemble something out of an alien movie rather than a shark. Internal fertilization is used by goblin sharks to mate and give birth to a limited number of quite large offspring. Despite giving live birth, these sharks don't actually have a placenta to link them to their offspring. Instead, throughout the gestation stage, the mother most likely feeds her unfertilized eggs to her young, which they actively consume for nutrition. Young goblin sharks are ready to hunt as soon as they are born. Number 1. The Psychedelic Frogfish. Frogfish, in general, are among the weirder animals on the planet, since they lack scales, have a variety of appendages and growths on their bodies, and are often coated in algae. The psychedelic frogfish, on the other hand, is unlike any other frogfish. This fish features a big, flat face, beady blue eyes, and a huge mouth, and most tellingly, a striped white, orange, and tan pattern that enables it to blend in with nearby coral. It was first found in 2009 in the seas of Indonesia. The psychedelic frogfish also has a small luring appendage on its forehead that mimics a wiggling worm for any prospective prey that isn't sufficiently captivated. The psychedelic frogfish has only ever been observed alive in Ambon, and they don't actually seem to grow much larger than 10 centimeters in length. Their remarkable coloration is believed to resemble multiple species of coral, providing them with great concealment. As for the psychedelic part of this froggy's name, well, just look at the thing. It looks pretty crazy, right? On top of its psychedelic skin, the psychedelic frogfish is one of the world's rarest and most difficult to find fish, as it can only be found in one location, the limited regions of Indonesia's Ambon and Maluku Islands. The significance of preserving the ocean's coral reefs from climate change and human activity cannot be overstated as researchers strive to learn more about these amazing anglerfish. Let me know in the comments which of these fish you found the most fascinating. Don't forget to check out the other awesome videos popping up on the screen, and I'll catch you in the next one.